What happens when two automotive giants drop hundreds of millions into Formula One at the same time? That's the 2026 Audi versus Cadillac Showdown. And with two races already down, it's already getting wilder than anyone expected. Something just happened in the 2026 F1 season that the sport hasn't seen in a very long time. Two of the world's most recognizable automotive brands arrived like they already owned it. Money ready and reputations on the line. We're talking about Audi and Cadillac. And before you write this off as just another two new teams joining F1, you need to look deeper into it, because that framing completely misses everything that's actually happening here. This goes beyond just joining the sport. It's a manufacturer's war dressed as racing. The most financially loaded new entry rivalry the sport has witnessed in decades. And the reason it matters so much right now comes down to one thing: timing. When Haas entered Formula One back in 2016, they walked into a rulebook that had already been in play for years. The sport's big boys already had mountains of data and development cycles nobody could replicate overnight. Also worth mentioning is that they had an institutional head start that basically made catching up a fantasy. Haas spent years just trying to be relevant. Fast forward to 2026, and nothing is the same. The regulations are being completely overhauled. Power units have to shift to a 50-50 split between combustion and electrical energy. The MGUH, that notoriously complex component that kept manufacturers away from F1 for years, has also been scrapped entirely. Active aerodynamics are set to replace the DRS system, and cars drop 30 kilograms. Even F1's own CEO, Stefano Domenicali, admitted that these changes will send everyone back to the drawing board. Doing that calls for us to put both teams' construction blueprints side by side, starting with Audi. These guys didn't just join Formula One, instead they purchased their way in at a scale that left very little to chance. It all started back in 2022 when they announced their intent to partner with Sauber. By January 2025, the full acquisition of Sauber Holding AG was complete, with the transaction valued at $650 million. What did that buy them? An existing Swiss headquarters in Hinwil. It also got them a workforce that already spoke the language of F1, as well as a world-class wind tunnel. And perhaps most valuably, a head start that money alone cannot manufacture. Car design and race operations remain in Hinwil, while Audi's power unit is developed and manufactured at their motorsport headquarters in Neuburg and Dardanau, Germany. And leading it all is none other than Matteo Binotto, formerly of Ferrari, and James Key, formerly of McLaren. These are not names you pull from a recruitment website. They are proven names in the sport. The expertise they bring to the table is enough to push a team from a participant to a serious contender. But it gets even more interesting, because while Audi was assembling all of this, Cadillac was fighting just to remain afloat. GM paid an expansion fee of $450 million. That was over twice as much as originally demanded just to get a seat at the table. And even after writing that check, final approval only came in March 2025. Meanwhile, they had already been spending over $20 million every single month building a team with absolutely no guarantee they would ever make it to the grid. And that says more than you think. It's a calculated gamble that would make most CEOs physically uncomfortable. Cadillac plans to operate 4 facilities across Fishers in Indiana, Concord in North Carolina, Warren in Michigan, and Northamptonshire in England. The thing is, you can learn a lot about a team's philosophy from their press releases, but you learn everything from their driver lineup. Let's look at Audi first. On one side of the garage, you have Nico Hülkenberg. 15 years in Formula One, 239 race starts before finally claiming his maiden podium. And he did that by starting 19th on the grid in a chaotic wet-dry British Grand Prix and somehow finishing 3rd. the man held off Lewis Hamilton in front of Hamilton's home crowd in a Sauber. On the other side, you find 20-year-old Gabriel Bortoleto, among a select group of drivers to have won Formula 2 and Formula 3 back-to-back, each in his rookie year. He appears on that list alongside names like Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, and George Russell. He's also under the management of Fernando Alonso, and that alone shows how highly people in F1 rate his potential. Audi didn't pair these two by accident. They went for a veteran in Nico, someone who can set the baseline, and in Gabby, a generational talent who might eventually blow right past it. Now, pivot to Cadillac, because their response to all of this was essentially cute. Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez. This combo is carrying 527 combined Grand Prix starts, 16 victories, and 23 pole positions between them. When the car does something unexpected, and it sure will, Bottas and Perez have felt a version of that before, but Bortoleto has not. Not at this level, and that changes the entire gameplay. Now, the factories are built, the engines are chosen, and the drivers are strapped in. Next comes the only question that actually matters. Who got it right? Audi's case is genuinely compelling, but Cadillac's counter-argument doesn't fall apart under pressure either. But there is a caveat here. The budget cap sits near $215 million for both of them. Neither team can simply throw money at problems until they disappear. Every decision has to be the right one. And in a year where the legend himself, Damon Hill, said all bets are off, smart thinking matters more than deep pockets. Hill even drew a direct comparison to Braun GP's stunning 2009 title run. He suggested that 2026 could produce the kind of upset where someone quietly sees through the regulations while everyone else is still catching up. And if that's anything to go by, then the advantage could belong to whichever team made fewer assumptions. Audi bet on control and patience. Cadillac went for experience and speed. We already have a hint of what may become after results in Melbourne and Shanghai. And although it's still early to make conclusions, the conversation has already started. This rivalry has been quietly loading since 2022, and now the trigger finally gets pulled. By December, one of these billion-dollar gambles will pay off, and the other will turn out to be an expensive lesson. Which team do you think got it right? Drop it in the comments. And remember to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.